I guess that was one of the approaches with koans, wasn't it? Um, Someone recently guiding saying, "Well, you're breaking my brain." I guess that's what that's one way of expressing it.
Mm. It sounds like a good thing to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, that was my response. Now we're getting somewhere.
Mm.
Well, I checked there is an old paper with exercise or citation or kind of phrases that old guys were using,
Hmm.
and they were like go on. They were like just two sentence, and
Yeah.
it's very different now that there is some kind of exercise and everything. It's kind of yeah,
Yes. So
it's a
that's beautiful.
change.
It's something there perhaps for us all, David, that you're pointing to. Yeah.
Well, Alona used to say, pick out the one thing that really stands out in their posts. Don't
Mm.
shotgun. And people,
Yeah.
especially new people, and myself included, had a tendency to want to get it all done in one. They're liable to come out with a line of stuff, and she would teach us pick out that one thing that really seems maybe the most emotionally attached to that's where the I really is in something they said. It really feels strong,
Mm.
and zero in on that, or maybe one or two things, and keep the focus simple, because there's only so much that when you shotgun a bunch of beliefs at one time, it's overwhelming. It's hard enough to take one laser focus on one strong idea in a paragraph maybe, and let them sit with that overnight, and just let that one thing. But it takes you have to learn patience, because it's slow going that way, and there's a tendency to want to move things along. Once you see this clearly, it's so simple. You say, well, it should be simple for you too. Well, it's not simple for them, or they wouldn't be here. So the biggest virtue I see in guiding is having patience, because getting in a hurry could just, I think it's what I call the shotgun approach,
Mm.
and people just get kind of overwhelmed with it.
Does anyone think that question of like a few questions early on to screen for like emotional readiness? Like what about could there be a question like what are you holding on to any fears, or do you think that, or whether you are avoiding anything? Is there anything you might be avoiding or that you prefer not to look at to try to get a
That's
handle
actually
on?
that's actually one of the questions that we're supposed to ask that people ignore. The first thing we're supposed to get into is fears, expectations, and fears.
Where's that?
Expectations are,
Where does it
well,
tell you that?
it's been there from the start. It's in all the literature, fears and expectations, because expectations are, what do you think is going to be added to you if you see this?
Yeah.
Fears are, what are you worried about losing if you see this? They go
How,
hand in hand.
how about
It's
avoiding?
in there, but it's largely ignored. But people don't want to talk about fears, I don't think. I do, but a lot of people just, it's gotten overlooked in a lot of the introductions.
I
Or they
haven't
could
seen a
not be, they might not be aware.
It's in the guiding materials. If you go into the resource section of LU and go into the articles, there are uh several articles about how to guide, do this, that, and the other. And I think just about every one of them says, look at fears and expectations, one of the first things you do. But I don't know why it's overlooked. It's there.
if a fear does not come to your attention, it doesn't come up. You don't know what fears you may encounter. Fears are encountered along the way in the process. But I wonder if the question of, is there anything you may be avoiding? That would, I mean, if I think that would have pointed me to take a good look and question that. Is there anything that I am not looking at
Right. Well, the question is designed to go along with, are there any fears? Because people might be conscious of them, but the question, you're also supposed to say, if during this process any fears seem to come up, then make sure and
Yeah.
talk about them, and we can deal with them. In other words, the question is just to alert them to the potential perils of the process. It's some scary stuff some scary moments might come up. So it's not, you're right, many people won't know about the fear until they actually encounter it later, but it's a preparatory thing, expectations and fears. But
Yeah.
it gets largely ignored, and just from what I see.
So that's the question. Is there a need for more of the preparatory assessment? Would that be helpful?
Yes, in my opinion, but
What about you,
nobody
Vince?
listens to me. So, yeah, you make the suggestion. I mean, it's a good idea, but we'll see. Run it up the flagpole and see who salutes.
Vince, do you have thoughts?
Yeah. Every guide comes at this from their own experience. They'll come at it differently. I think that one of the things that we're doing with guiding is we're helping people to discover about themselves. So when they turn up first, there's a good chance that they've got a totally misguided view of who they are or what they're about or how they work. So I mean, asking them questions to explain or to reveal stuff that they don't actually know about, I think that's tricky. How you do it. How do you do it in a way that sets a tone? That's an important one. So I personally would say, when you start guiding someone, be gentle and ask them questions, but always inquire about. You want to know more and more and more and more and more all the time. And in asking the questions, if you can get them to consider what comes up for them as they contemplate the question, as they're looking for an answer, then you're helping them to discover themselves. So I think that's the way to do it. But I mean, there is no right or wrong. Every guide is going to do it differently, and every person that comes is going to be different as well. So if you've got thoughts about that, certainly I'd say put in those questions, but do it gently.
Well, I guess my question is specifically on avoidance. Like,
Well, if somebody's avoiding something, how do they know they're avoiding it? They don't. Right?
like as a general sense of something lodged somewhere. I would think you kind of have a sense where you do not look. You habitually don't look.
Yeah, but you don't admit that to yourself normally. Right?
Yeah.
You just avoid it. So
Hmm.
maybe you could ask a question like, are you here to fix something?
Yeah.
And then you could investigate that. Now, a lot of guides will say, well, I don't want to be a fixer. If you're here to fix something, that's not appropriate. I don't see that. I think whatever people come with, their ideas about why they're there are going to change as they move through the process.
Yeah, the fixing.
People don't know why they're there. They're there because they're there. That's the reason they're there, not because they've got some intention or whatever. I mean, it might appear to be that way, but yeah. I would take. See, I don't even read. Well, I'm not guiding at the moment, but when I guided, I never read what people wrote before I decided I would take them on. I just took the person that waited the longest every time, and I was really happy if somebody said, "Oh, look, I've got this client who's I can't get through to. We want another guide." I really enjoyed taking them on because they were a good challenge, and that got me thinking in a way that I wouldn't normally think. I got bored with just doing the old same old all the time.
With that, to use Paul's term, preparatory, like a preparatory kind of assessment would be questioning whether a therapeutic kind of approach might be in order at the outset,
Well,
rather than just wading into LU.
Yeah, I always took a therapeutic approach. You know, in fact, I didn't even read the literature in LU. I just started doing it my own way right from the beginning. And so, I hardly ever used exercises. The only exercise I ever used was the cup exercise, and I kind of invented that myself. So I didn't even use any of the exercises from LU in the beginning. I always just followed my own intuition. And my intuition was, that yes, this person might be avoiding or something like that. So how do we approach that in a gentle way that gives them an opportunity to see that that's what they're doing?
Because implicitly, though, LU begins at a certain point in the journey. And maybe not everyone is up to that point, and you don't know. So that would be the question is whether that could be looked at, whether it's worth or something can be determined.
Yeah, so I mean, for me, the only criteria that's important is that people really want something to happen. I don't care where they're up to otherwise. I don't care what their history is. I don't care anything else. If they want it, I'm there for them.
Yeah, I assume everyone wants something. We're driven by that.
Yeah, and frequently the first thing we're going to do is have a look at their expectations, not in a formal way, but we're going to start to fix their misconceptions about what it'll be like. You know, people. I mean, I did myself. You know, I was going to be magical. I was going to be able to walk on water once I woke up. You know, and that was a big disappointment, wasn't it? I can't. Everybody comes with that, I think. No, and it's kind of crazy when you think about it, isn't it? But as we've been talking today, you know, I've come across I had another realization. I've used, you know, on my website, I've put a whole page about expectations and how expectations can be a block to waking up. And as I'm listening today, I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I should put another page there about expectations being a help to waking up. Right? So we could change the stupid expectations and have some reasonable expectations. And that could be really helpful. So I'm sorry, all you guys. Well, not really sorry, but yeah, we were having a guide training session before you guys turned up, and we kind of didn't finish it. We kept it going. It kept happening. Yeah.
Can I ask a question, Vince?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Because when David talked about the avoidance thing, it definitely triggered something in me, like and I'm not sure yet, but I wanted to ask David or anybody really around an example of what you mean. I know you said something, David, about your own thing, but I'm not necessarily looking for your own avoidance, but an example of what you mean by the avoidance piece.
Well, if I look at
David, I wouldn't get sucked into that. I'd direct it right back at Dennis and say, when you said something came up for you, let's look at that.
Can I give him a word that came up?
No, I'm only jumping in. Sorry.
Like what I would say is,
Don't mind him, David. Go on.
Okay, the question would be, what am I most sensitive about? What is my particular sensitivity? Where am I?
Yeah.
What am I most protective of? What do I not want anyone? And in hindsight, I think for me it was shame.
Okay, yeah, now you're speaking my language. That's exactly what shocked me about it. There was something there, and I was looking for another kind of a hook, and the sensitivity and the shame has fed me right into because there was a sense of, yeah, well, if I can get this, I don't have to deal with that. But I'm not sure what that is that I might be avoiding. And I'm still not sure. I'm just inquiring. But like, if you would have said something different, I might have said, that's not it. But sensitiveness and shame definitely resonate. There's something around, well, you're bad, and just avoid that because this will fix everything and you don't have to look at that. So there's
Yeah, well, how
something
about
there.
this? How about this? Can I get this and keep this part covered? Can I have, I know I want something, but I want to keep this, I still want to keep guard over, or I want to not look here. There's somewhere, some special thing that is so sensitive that you don't even let yourself become fully aware of it.
Yeah, and that's it. Shame and being bad. And I know I've touched into that shame a few times, but you go there for a little visit. But again, it could be a belief. Well, is it really shame? What is it? Is it we're labeling now, but that going into something deeply, yeah. Because when you said it, what you said reminded me of Adja when Adja said, "Only the phony don't get enlightened." There was something connected to that you can be at this forever, but if you're not really seriously, I can't remember the full quote. I said it the last time, but only the phonies don't get enlightened. It's stuck with your piece on avoidance. So anyway, it just stuck in my neck. So I just wanted to ask about it.
Yeah. And the craziness is that the stuff that you're avoiding threatens a catastrophe if you go close to it. That's the way that the avoidance works. But when you go through that and actually look at it, it always turns out to be nothing. And so what shame covers up guilt. So what we feel shame about, that happened when we didn't have a perspective to appropriately recognize all of the circumstances around it. And now you do have.
Yeah.
And that's why it's nothing when you actually get there, but you've got to get there to dissolve it. You don't have to look at the details of it, but you have to get close enough to recognize that it's inappropriate.
And is it a case of because the idea of storytelling around it is frightening. And I think that's a waste of time. Well, I'm hoping that's a waste of time and just feeling in through it. Because I feel like years ago, there was a layer laid down when I was very young. I'm bad. I'm no good. Whatever. Some layer, very young, you're bad, you're no good. And there's all sorts of layers on top of that, from shame to other things. And I'm at that layer at the minute. And even today, that sort of frustration / anger. And it's a useful tool. Anger is like a shovel, and I'm digging deep to find out what the fuck is going on. But to get down to those deeper layers of where I fundamentally have not even a belief, but I'm operating from the presumption I'm just bad, and there's shame around that, and there's probably other things above that, and right now it's just anger.
Yeah, well, the anger is an avoidance process too. The anger helps you keep away from that.
Okay, it feels the opposite right now. It feels like it's making me want to go look. Like there's a child drowning somewhere under a river,
it could
and
be.
I'm going to jump in to look.
It could be the case, that's a kind of stupid generalization that I did, but it could well be that there's something there. I would question what's really going on with the anger.
Anger, underneath anger is fear, surely.
Usually under anger is fear, that's right.
And this is it. I don't want to just kind of get sidetracked by a story, that this is the whole now, the play that I'm going to play out to avoid what's already here. But then if these, the word comes, vasanas, keep coming up, they're a distraction from what's here. So you have to deal with them. So that's the shadow work.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they're not a distraction because they are here. They are what's here. So with the anger, where is the anger held in the body.
Okay. It's right in the center of the chest, and it's in the shoulders too. It's like across here.
I didn't find fear beneath the anger. What I found is just pure like bitterness at the universe for the
Oh,
defectiveness,
yes.
for the
I love it,
deprivation,
David. Yeah.
and like whatever thwarted my development, like as a better functioning emotional being, there was just bitterness at the world and the universe for the hand that I was dealt. And I could have been pissed off at everyone and anyone.
But surely there's still fear under bitterness.
Yeah, just to comment on that, David, that really resonated because I don't know, in the last 2 weeks, someone used that word, and I went, Jesus, I haven't heard that word in years, and I felt, yeah, bitter. I'm bitter. There's definitely bitterness, and when you brought it up there, it's like, yeah, there's a bitterness about how things have gone, how the world is, how life. Yeah, bitterness is a lovely word for whatever this feeling is. Yeah.
So,
And
so the bitterness is there's a resonance for that, and so where is bitterness being experienced in the body? Because there's this. I mean, I find that the when you get the right word, there is a felt sense
Yeah.
of
It's a pain right in the center of the sternum.
okay. And so just be with that, and just allow it to be there. Just and you can even maybe let go of the mental thoughts of the business of the world, and just allow the body to speak, and maybe different words will come up as you just stay with that. It'll evolve.
Yeah, it's already doing that because when David said it and I felt it here, there's actually right now, I'm actually really happy. I'm absolutely happy I've found my bitterness, or that place in me that bitterness describes, and I can go to.
what I would add to it is that you have every right to feel that bitterness. You're fully justified in feeling bitterness for what happened to you, because it has all, because of all of the impact and the implications that it had on your whole existence. It shaped what your experience was, and you have a right to be bitter for that, in the same way that everyone else has a right to feel everything that they feel and everything that they experience.
Yeah, that really resonates, David, because I remember a couple of months ago I found anger, and it was like, oh, here's anger again, and anger, and I enjoyed, in a way, I enjoyed being angry. And I feel like the same thing with bitterness now. I need to get close to it and express it, and spend time with it
and claim it. None of it was your doing.
Yeah, that doesn't fit yet because it feels like, my fault. So to have the realization or the knowing it wasn't my doing, maybe that will come in time with sitting with it, but it's not here right now.
Yeah, Rowena's thing is stay with the bodily sensation, and that will lead you. Just let the body be the director in this. Every time you find yourself thinking about it, just come back to the sensation.
Yeah, there's a lot of sensation, and it just takes the word bitter to just like a bell to resonate across the chest.
And having the concept that these are layers, that something sits on top of something else, on top of something else, etc. That's useful too. Not that you need to chase it. Just be aware that, you know, that bitterness is the result of something, and that something is underneath it.
Yeah, it feels intergenerational. It feels handed down to it. There's, you know.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of this stuff is absolutely epigenetic, even.
It kind of feels like if I was to truly be myself, I'd be a very bitter person. Then I could be a very angry person. Then I could be a nice person probably as well. But it's one of those. I've always felt like emotions were like a mystical sort of. There's angry and there's happy and everything in between. It's like those kids' movies out. The nuances of emotions are hard to recognize and label and just feel, because you can't even label them. I'm talking kind of psychologically, but just to have kind of a weird uneasiness in you, and someone goes, "That's bitterness," you know, oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. Thank you. At least I can now experience it, and maybe it'll change and go into something else.
And that,
Dennis is.
I was just going to say that oh yeah, that's bitterness. That's a recognition. That's a recognition. That's a remembering.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
Dennis, a little earlier you said about not getting caught up in the story, and that's so true. But this is where the story is so important. Bitterness is a label and a very short story in itself, but it resonated so true. And that's where the story is a pointer. And then, as Rowena said, just go right back to that feeling. Drop the story there, but the story is so useful in helping us point to what is actually going on. So both go together. To differentiate between the story and the sensation is so important. But what you're doing and what Rowena pointed to is that the absolute core, just stay with the sensation. And another story might arise, as David was pointing to. You're not responsible for it, but that'll come as a recognition, as Vince said. And that's the story, but then we go back to the sensation.
Yeah, I'm going to stick quiet with this for a little bit, guys.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
How's things for you these days, Yvonne?
Challenging.
Been challenging for a little while, haven't they?
Yeah. One moment I'm feeling desperate, and then I get into that, what's going on, this desperate feeling, what's this about? And I investigate desperate, and I spend time with desperate, and it'll change. And quite often I become present again, and desperate is gone. And I think I try not to think. It's probably easier now than it would have been a few years ago. I would have been desperate permanently, but I just keep coming back to being present, and this is how it is, and this is how it is. But it's back and forth, really, back and forth, and then I feel guilty because Richard, who his name is. His name is Richard. I feel very annoyed with him, and then I look at him, and then I realize he's so I can't find words. I mean, he constantly says, I'm so depressed. I've never been so depressed in all my life. I'm so depressed. And, you know, it's difficult to respond, to know what to say to that. You know, did say things like, you know, it's just thoughts, Richard. It's just thoughts. You know, oh, yeah, I'm so depressed. He's lost in his thoughts and his depression, and he's very angry and shouts, as I said before, shouts a lot. And then he goes, I'm sorry. And then I go, it's okay. I know. It's okay. I know you're frightened. And so we connect for a short while. And then something else happens, and I trip over another. It's constant. It does. And today I thought, fuck, if he dies, and it's terrible. Oh, this is the truth of it. If he dies, he has a workshop, and it's awful. He's so untidy. It's got huge machinery in, and this and that. And I think, what the fuck am I going to do with all that stuff? I mean, I might die before him. Who knows? Nobody knows anything. But and he's just this is what it's like. I feel like I'm taking too long to describe. But thank you for asking me, Vince. And it's fucking difficult. It's fucking difficult, and I'm coping. Yeah, I think.
So when you go from desperate to not desperate, what happens?
Well, I get tired because, I mean, obviously, I've got my heart problem. It's like, why am I laughing? But got my heart problem, so I'm not the energetic person I used to be, although I've got amazing energy still, and I'm so grateful to this body. And then when I get very exhausted because I'm cleaning all the time, because I want to come back. I leave on the 25th of September to go to England to see about for a heart another more tests to see what's happening with the heart. And so I'm trying to make a home out of it all, like it used to be. So I'm constantly cleaning 2 years of filth and bags of rubbish and so I'm sorting, and I'm not allowed to touch his things though. Yeah, I do. I don't know. Yeah, I suddenly get tired and I think, oh fuck, what am I doing? Should I perhaps escape? No, I can't escape. This is my home. Oh, fucking hell. And that's desperation. And then I think, oh, hang on, this is just thoughts. This exhaustion is caused also by thoughts. And I just stop and just come back here, and I say, I think you should take a break. Make yourself a drink, a cup of coffee or something. I'm meeting my character. My character also, I'm seeing more of this character, Yvonne. And, the being is kind of watching.
Mm.
And I
So
can get back.
are you seeing what takes you into that desperation? Are you seeing the stories that roll around in your head
Yeah,
that
yeah,
create
yeah,
the desperation? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And seeing them as not enough for them to dissipate? They still happen. You still get into desperation even though you see those stories.
Well, yes, I come back. Yeah, it's hard. It's difficult because.
So you're recognizing the stories when you come back to your place, back to this room, and you because you're tired and you've come back and there's a kind of I'm going to take a break, and you're recognizing that stories took you into that place and you drop them and you come back and you're okay.
Yes.
But it's the recognizing the stories as they're occurring while you're there cleaning that take you into that desperate state, and that you're unable to drop them when you're seeing them occur like that. Is that right?
I don't carry them for too long. I mean, I think I know why my heart why I've got a problem with it, because I spent years here. This house was always going to be built. He was always going to be, I'm sorry, I don't want to go on too much, but he was always planning to build this house, but he never got around to it. And I had to sell a house I had in England because he didn't tell me his money situation. He had debts. And so I kept the thing going. And then we ran out of money. And I spent years feeling trapped and bitter, talking about bitter, and trapped and angry and desperate. And I would go out of the house, I go, hi, oh yes, I'd come back, oh fucking hell, how do I get it? What can I do? And I think I felt desperation for so many years that I think it affected my heart. But now that I see that, and also now I know this, I haven't got to be in that desperation, that I can come back here and all is okay. Yeah, it's tricky.
So why the roller coaster? Why the in and out, in and out? Why not just stay in this state that you're in now where you're relaxed about it?
I suppose because I'm just trying to make it comfortable for myself. I'm trying to make a home which was comfortable again. I just want to feel
you want to feel okay, but you're also making yourself feel desperate. Why are you doing that to yourself? Why are you bringing on that desperation feeling? When you know what to do about it, you come back here into this room and you can let it go.
Well, I can't always let it go because this room also there's a little bit of it that looks like it's sort of like a proper house. But if you look over there, it's like it's like
you're telling yourself stories.
And it's a difficult house I can't live. I mean, this house has got no running water. It's got no loo, no bathroom, no kitchen, no nothing. It's just a room with loads of stuff in. But the house I used to live in is just full of his stuff and bags of rubbish, which I'm slowly managing to clear. It's sad. It's sad. It's very sad. And it's hard work clearing it. And I think I feel abandoned.
Okay, listen, have this fantasy with me, right? That Yvonne comes back here to this room, and instead of telling herself how this room is lacking all of those things, she goes, "Oh, this is a sanctuary, and in this sanctuary I can feel okay, right? And I can let go of all of the desperation that I was feeling before." And so here I am in the present, feeling okay. Now, when I go back into the house and do a bit of work, there's no reason for me not to feel this okayness that I've got now. I can feel that while I'm doing those other things. And because I'm not involved in all of those stories about how horrible it is, I can also be more aware of when I need to stop and have a break. I can look after myself better. So I'll come back and have a rest in this sanctuary when I need to. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay in a calm, relaxed state the whole time. I'm not going to go through that cycle of desperation that I used to, because I don't actually need to do that. So how does a fantasy like that fit for you? Is it possible that that could happen?
Just charging my phone. Yeah. I could try that.
In my mind, it's entirely possible. You know how to be relaxed, to be in the present, to be fully in the now. You know how to do that. And yet you dismiss that when you go into the house and you get yourself all worked up. And you don't need to. Are you trying to tell him something by being worked up?
Yeah,
Because he's not listening.
Sometimes I and sometimes I say something like, "Oh, I've not had my lunch yet. Oh, I've given him his lunch and made him his tea and everything, made him a cup of tea. And then I'll say something, because I've wanted to do some more stuff, more cleaning. I say, I've not had my lunch yet." A bit like my mum used to do to me. And then I go, whoa, what?
Yeah, you saw yourself do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and he goes, I'm learning a lot about this character.
You are, yeah.
And yeah.
So experiment some more and see if you can take that equanimity into the house with you next time.
Yeah. I think I am of a nervous disposition. I think my nervous system is a bit highly strung.
I can see that you've got yourself, that you have almost got a habitual stress level there.
Ah.
And it's time to let that go. You don't need it.
So you can see this stress level?
Yes. And I can see that it's habitual. You've been carrying it around for a long time.
Oh, you can you? Because that's interesting, because my youngest son, he goes, I'm talking with him and, we're having to do something. And I start going, oh, you got to do, we better do, and he goes, Mom, calm down. Stop stressing. I go, oh.
You realize you're doing it, and you do calm down because you know how to do that.
Yeah. But it's a long road back of stress level.
Yes.
And possibly why my heart has got
right. And remember when your heart went from really bad to a lot better?
Yeah.
And that was a time when you were a lot more relaxed.
Yeah. I mean, I it's difficult to explain it all you know.
Mm.
It's difficult being a human being.
Yvonne, what I just adding to what Vince is saying, but I'm sensing that there's a need for you to give that part of you that is so exhausted and so wired up that there's quite a lot of you know, in a way, criticism, and that you shouldn't be like that. It needs a lot of self-compassion and self-love.
Mm.
So when you allow yourself, because what your you know, there's your body's and nervous system is also responding, and for whatever reason that it is like that, either but yeah, so just bring that love, you know. I don't know, some people, you can hold a cushion or something and soothe that
I can
part,
I have compassion for this person here. I can.
Well, and the little child that maybe is still
Mm.
lurking, that needs the love.
Yeah. I think also when I go, it's tricky having to go to another country, back to England, to get to the health system in England, because that's where I had a mini stroke, and then they discovered the problem with my heart. So I've got to go back there and have more tests. I can't have it done in France. It's too complicated to start again here. And so when I go back there, I haven't got a house, so I have to stay with my family. And I think I know one of my daughter-in-laws is a bit fed up of having me around. I've been living in the bottom of their garden in a little house, trying to keep myself to myself. But then my eldest son, which is where I've been staying, he said, well, Mum, if you can spend 2 weeks with us and then perhaps 2 weeks with another son, and so I'm beginning to think, fuck, this is like, I'm feeling homeless. I'm feeling I'm feeling abandoned and homeless. And that's quite challenging when you're 76. It's quite challenging, and you've got a heart problem. And as I said, I meditate sometimes 3 times a day. And I get back to feeling just okay, beautiful, and flowing, and okay. So I'm in and out of it. But I do see this character now more and more. And possibly I'm also very happy. I mean, you know, I'm also full of joy. I mean, I could be feeling joy one moment. I mean, I hear a bird or talk to the cat or put my back on a tree, and I feel joy. You know, it's all going on. But it's like, how is it so challenging suddenly? Then I think, well, I'm not in Gaza. I'm not being bombed. But even that doesn't help. But
yeah, it's the stories you tell yourself that make it challenging. So you're telling me that you're going to stay with one son for a couple of weeks and then another son for a couple of weeks. And I'm thinking, oh, that's lovely. You get to visit your kids and spend time with them. And then you say, oh, that means I'm homeless. See, it's a perception. It's the way you're looking at things. Yeah.
I know I do. I find it difficult because I am a cook. I like cooking. And so I either end up cooking for everybody or I just, you know, what my challenges is with daughter-in-laws. I've got a lot of daughter-in-laws, and also with my, just human. Human.
Yeah. So you're an exuberant person. I think
I
you're
love them as well. Yeah, sorry.
I'm going to say
Exuberant, yeah.
I see you as exuberant, and that can be maybe difficult for other people to cope with sometimes. But that's their problem, not yours. You just
Yeah,
be relaxed, be yourself, be spontaneous. And
yeah.
if they
Well,
don't
people have,
like it, well, stiff shit, you know.
yeah. Well, people have been saying, "Oh, you're getting a lot better, Yvonne, at not being so stressed." I
Yeah,
think, oh, okay, thank you.
yeah.
Yeah,
You're the same age as me, and I want to be a nice, relaxed person. So I want you to be a nice, relaxed person too.
thank you for all being there, and thank you for asking me how I am, and yeah, um,
Thank you for
yeah.
sharing. That's good. Yeah. You still good, Kenneth?
Yeah, things are good. I guess sometimes confusion comes up. Um, but things are okay now again. Yeah.
How's Andre, the light bearer?
Yeah, I'm just when I when I renamed myself, I was like, oh, this is just you being narcissistic and you just want attention, and that's just um but it's also a way of expressing some of the irritation that I have um in trying to mock. Hmm, I don't know. I haven't been able to figure out what I am doing and how I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Um, One thing though I noticed now is that, of course, I mean, that's bullshit. I'll rename it because, I mean, who am I? I'm probably like darkness bearer, not the light bearer. Yeah. Um, I'm just looking at uh, um, I guess it's easier to talk about the group than to talk about myself, but I'm looking at the dynamics of the group and I'm like, so what is happening now? And like, how do you fit in this? And how the story that you have, where does it sit in like if there's like a group scale and then people are suffering and people are talking about stuff, then where do you fit? Like, do you, like, I was in a store today buying some meat and you get a number. And when they call your number, that's your cue, right? That's your turn to order. So I'm thinking, what's my number in this group now? Like, what what do I need to do to be number one? Like, do I have to be super awake or do I have to be super suffering? Like, um, or like how do you earn that in a group of people? How does one um how do I know? And I think I'm just talking to the part of myself that is saying that my story is not so important. Um, and not just that, but also my story cannot really be solved. Because I've been trying to solve it and I've been, from aggression to depression and back and forth and it doesn't seem to be. I do see the change. I do see that But then I don't know if it has anything to do with me doing anything, or it's just the different age strata. You know, when you move from age to age, the energy moves, and then your life and world perception also changes, and then maybe. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm sitting with this sensation and feeling this feeling. But maybe not. Maybe it's just maybe like you said, it's a backstory. Maybe something happens and then I have an explanation to it for like to, oh, that happened because I was doing something. Maybe not. Maybe it just happened. So I cannot really attribute it to my oh fuck, so much talking. But then if I don't talk and I just sit with the sensation, you know, like you guys are saying, sit with it, be with it, lie with it, jump with it. Again, has anyone jumped with the sensation? I don't think so. But I don't really it's like it's like a recursion, like the same stuff happening again and again and again. And I'm becoming I'm not happy with my life. I'm not happy with this world. I'm not happy with blah 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 blah. And then there's a story and then something happens and I'm like, oh, it's okay, it's fine. Yeah, it's okay. You know, I love you people, da da da. Sounds a little bit like probably bipolar or I don't know, uh, some kind of diagnosis that I could use here. I'm not very good at it. I don't know much about it. But one thing that I have right now is like I have no fucking clue. Um, I'm super confused. I don't know what I'm doing in this group. Like because I have tried all these different strategies. I have tried entertaining you. I have tried probably yeah, my sort of go-to is to entertain you and feel safe in this group. But like I said a few times, and that kind of pisses me off because I have already done that a few times and I don't want to use that strategy, but I keep using it. And and then I'm trying to see that this irritation is kind of useful, but I just need to I need to be able to figure out what it is pointing to or at or like there's something in me that wants to do something about something. I don't know what it is. It's just but I like I don't know what it is that I want to change and I don't know who wants to change it and to change it into what. And it's just like uh it's not I mean you can call it restlessness. Um yeah, I think I am. What's happening to me now is this, I'm like, but because I really don't have anything, I don't, well, that's how I see myself now. I don't have anything. I now go into shame because, oh, I'm wasting the time of all these, you know, highly esteemed people and people who really need to be able to voice their stuff. And I'm just taking it away with my, you know, clownmanship or this guy, what is he doing? What is he talking about? He's just full of shit, you know. Um, yeah, that's me. So I'm full of shit. Well, but that's not a new discovery.
Are you
And
about to have a baby?
what?
Are you about,
Not me,
is your wife
my
about to have a
wife.
baby?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that will sort you out.
Maybe, maybe not. It will probably add a different spectrum, the way I kind of sense it, a great spectrum. But I will still um, carry on with this circle of.
Just wait till that baby looks into your eyes.
And tells me, no, but well, okay, so, but that's what I'm doing to my life. Like I am waiting for that baby to look into my eyes. I am waiting for something to happen in the non-existent future. And after that, Yvonne, oh, life is great. Just wait for that baby. I am waiting for those babies. I've been waiting for those babies, but I mean.
You're going to have a few. How many have you got?
A what?
How many babies do
Babies?
you have? Yeah.
Oh, millions, but probably just one coming up. But yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, I guess I'll just label it as that's me. That's probably super whatever I'm presenting here, or whatever I'm laying on the table here is like it seems like a garage sale and of a garage that like of a house that you wouldn't fucking interest yourself in. And you're just going, past this and you look at this table and all this crap and you're like, fuck, we don't need this. And that's how I feel. I'm the one who's trying to sell it. Actually, probably more like give it away for free, but people don't want it. That's how I see my stuff. Like my whatever I bring to the table is it's just oh, people usually throw away that stuff and I just put it on the table. So what I'm saying is I have nothing to offer um from a psychological point of view, from a waking up point of view, from a oh God, from a entertainment standpoint. It's just yeah.
You haven't got to offer anything.
What's that?
You haven't got
I
to.
haven't offered.
You don't
I
have to
haven't got
offer
to.
anything. You don't have to offer anything.
Well,
You
then
don't have to do or say anything. You don't have to offer anything.
it sounds a little bit. Well, yeah. Well, it just sounds like a concept to me, what you're saying.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I don't mean to be, well, I probably do mean to be, but I don't, I don't, I know all these words. I know like you don't have to, it's a conditioning. It's probably just a program talking, but and you just have to the problem is because I am identifying or whoever is identifying is the feather one, feather two, feather three, and it's all part of the the fixing strategy. And but what I'm trying to be as sort of I guess authentic as I can be in the moment, and that's what's happening with me. But this sort of self-degrading is also what's happening to me in the moment. Like whatever I'm saying, I'm removing any value off of it straight away because that's 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 what I do. That's what's
Has it
being
ever
done.
occurred to you that self-examination is futile? I mean, you are in a non-dual meeting here. I mean, because I mean, all you hear in here is there is no self, and yet you seem to be in a vicious circle of self-examination when you know, at least intellectually, there is no self. So why do you persist is what I guess my question is. I mean, it'd be one thing for your observations about what you're going through in any other group other than a non-dual group. Perfectly understandable. You know, if you were in kind of a therapy group or something like that, where people think there's a self and it can be healed and all, but I mean, where you are, it just seems kind of ironic. just about an observation. I mean, but have you ever asked yourself that question? Why this particular group for self-examination? I mean, it's just, it sounds, I don't know. Does anyone else see the irony besides me? And I'm just saying that's a question to ask yourself. I mean, it just,
Just to add, Andre, I had a realization listening to you talk, and I always enjoy when you talk. But the realization was there's absolutely nothing wrong with you.
There is one thing that's wrong with him, and that is that he thinks there's something wrong with him. But he's been told that before.
That could be it, Vince. Maybe because he was told there's something wrong with him, he's looking for that.
No, I told him that the only thing wrong with him was that he thinks there's something wrong with him. Nothing else is
Well,
wrong.
I meant younger, but yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, younger, sure, yeah.
The other way I put it, Andre, it feels like with the way you speak that you really haven't suffered in life. You've had a good life. It's been relatively easy. It's about to change now when you have children. So
Mm. Yeah, Paul, that's a good question. This is out of the three people that commented, I guess the one that sort of almost choked me was what Paul asked me, and I'm sort of still sitting in it and with it, and there's so much fucking shame and all that, but it's not related to non-dual exploration, of course. It's just exploration of self and personality and all that, and it's more like psychology, and it's not related to advice.
well, what would you do without that exploration? What would you be without self-examination?
It's just part of my
It's part of what?
habit, entertainment, my fun.
What would you be without it?
I don't really want to be without it. I guess I was looking for something like this to happen. I was sort of subconsciously waiting for someone to a little bit more aggressive than the way you did it, Paul, but the gist of it is like this is a group on awakening, and what the fuck are you doing here with your selfing?
Well, it's just you're waiting for somebody to be a little bit more aggressive about it.
Well, yeah, I guess, but I think the part of me was like happy because I kind of, that's like a, prophecy coming true. Well, sort of my own
Well, this is me being nice.
well, I can.
I'm just
I don't know,
asking.
but
I'm just pointing you towards this seems to be a part of who you are, is this circle of looking for this self. Look at what's the meaning of this self, what's the purpose of this self, and the whole pointing in this group is pointing that it isn't there. So that seems to be what you are. Your identity seems to be self-examination. That's why I ask you, what would you be, or what would be left if there was this self-examination was just to stop? What would be there?
Well, then I wouldn't be able to trigger you, and then I wouldn't have what I just had with your question.
True, on some level.
And I was like, why
What
are you being
else?
nice?
You get more flies with honey? I don't know.
Andre, could you tell us a little bit more about what you have just had from the interaction with Paul? Because yeah, you got something, and it took you to silence.
Well, I just I shrank, I contracted, and I just felt this um uh well, you could say, I mean, it could be called shame, could be called fear, maybe uh suppressed anger. So that would happen to me, and I was usually my strategy would be just to walk away from this, but
So what is it? What is it? This shame, could be anger, could be fear. Where did those come from? Do they come from sensations in your body that you're feeling, or are they just sort of fleeting thoughts? Or is there actually bodily sensations?
it was just a bodily response. It was pure bodily response. I didn't have there were no thoughts. It was just blank. It was more like a body reaction to or oh, yeah, it's kind of hard for me to carry on, but it was more like a bodily sort of response to what Paul said, and it had nothing to do with the question. It had to do with the sensation of oh shit. The sensation of like someone telling you by asking you that you don't belong here. That's how I the question was perceived inside of me. Um, and it wasn't out of the blue. It was like I was asking for it, or at least part of me was asking for it.
Well, you at least said it 2 or 3 times. I don't know why I come to this group.
I
So,
come for the
yeah,
connection.
well, you've said a couple of times, I don't know why I come to this group. And that's what I was getting at, is the irony of it is we point to no self, but you seem to be examining. Did I trigger any fear in you?
It was like it was more like it wasn't fear. It was close to the terror. But yeah, it was like fear, but it was a stifling fear. It was basically, if I translate into my language, what you said was like stop doing what you're doing and leave. That's how that's the gist. That's what I interpreted.
Well, do you feel like I challenged your identity in somehow or another? That fear was a fear of losing your idea of what you are? What would you be without all that self-examination?
I do not know. I think that's a big part of me, maybe if not all of me right now.
So how does it feel to imagine being without that?
If I respond from the same sort of place or space I am right now, that's just useless. Useless to in this group.
Is that a fear of being useless?
Mm, Fear of being useless and fear of being nobody. Fear of being, yeah.
Fear of being
Fear of,
nobody. That's good.
yeah.
What is it that tells you that you're somebody right now?
Well, because you're talking to me.
But what is it that tells you you are some identity, separate self?
Because I am, if I look at you, I have different emotions now, feelings.
Is an emotion an identity?
It is. But I trust it more than I thought because it's in the body.
It's in the body.
An identity.
Is it your body or just the body? What is it that makes it your body other than a thought? You say it's my body. That word, that thought, my, can that thought, my, own a body? Can it own an emotion? Is it my emotion or is it just an emotion?
If it could be my if I identify with it, or just an emotion if I don't. If I make it
If you
mine, then
identify with it, mean if a thought says it's your emotion,
yes. If I, yeah, if I put a label on it, if I put a sticker in it, it's mine, then
does the sticker make it true? Does my own anything? The label my, does it own anything?
no.
Does that thought, my, own anything?
No.
Did you say something?
No, I said, yeah, I said no, no, no. I said yes, no. I said no. No, it doesn't.
So this identity, all of these thoughts of self-examination are just one thought after another, aren't they? Do any of those thoughts own anything?
No.
Do any of those thoughts own a self? The examination thoughts, do they own a self?
No.
Does the word examination or the label or the concept examination do anything except point? So does the thought self own anything?
No.
How does that feel?
It feels empty, quiet, but there's a sense of um, that there are two kinds of light. One light is like daylight, and one light is like warm light. And these questions make me feel like I am under the cold light. Like I am in front of a judge in a way.
Is that
And
fear?
it's anger. There is fear, but there's fear. It's a mix of fear and anger, and anger says, can this be a little more warm-blooded? Can this be a little more, I don't know, it's probably just my story. Can this be a
What is the
little
fear
more
protecting?
fuck, it's the same game. Identity. My toolbox. Oh, the toolbox. No, my wow, toolbox. Fuck. What am I, a chameleon now?
What's the toolbox?
I call it I don't know what I call it, but let's call it a core. Um like it's like a badge, but on a deeper level. It's the badge that says Andre, but on a much, much, much deeper level. And it's basically like it has several layers, and fear is just one of the layers, and but it's protecting the
You're pointing to labels, concepts. Fear is protecting concepts, labels.
fear is yeah, and fear is protecting what is standing in front of you. Well, if I call you a judge, then whoever is standing in front of you needs to be preserved. And to preserve, I'll comply to preserve it.
To preserve
That's
concepts. That's what you're pointing to. Labels, concepts. Fear is protecting concepts. Can concepts be hurt? Can thoughts be hurt?
but no. But I have a well, I'm trying to call it like deep under the concepts, which is I don't know if it is if it
You're trying to
it's
call
like
it, and under the concepts are more concepts. No matter where you go, you keep going deeper, deeper, but you're still in concepts. Does fear protect thoughts?
I'm trying to call it authenticity. I'm trying to call it whatever makes me me is there. That's me. If you remove that, then there's no one to ask. No one will be talking to you.
So if there are only concepts there, then fear is protecting no one.
I don't understand what I'm fighting for right now. Like what am I trying to save or
Good
protect?
question. Good question. What is it? Find it. Isn't it just a concept of me? You're protecting an idea? You're protecting the idea of me?
Yes. Protecting the idea I call Andre. Um,
How would you harm an idea? Why would you protect it?
it's not so dramatic when you say it.
That's my point.
Yeah, but why is it so dramatic for me? But when you
Good
ask it,
question. If it's dramatic to you because you seem to think you're protecting some concept, some idea of me, how do you harm an idea?
well, you can't unless you bring in more ideas about hurt and consequences and stuff.
More ideas about ideas?
Yeah, more ideas about ideas. I
Kind of like dog chasing his tail.
yeah.
Very entertaining. Uses a lot of
Well,
energy, though.
this is so empty.
You ready to stop?
I don't have anything to say. I'm not angry with you anymore, Paul. Well, I remember I was angry, and I was still trying to find why would I would be angry.
You're protecting something that I threatened. That's why.
Yeah.
But you're protecting an idea.
It's almost like no thoughts, no emotions, no feelings. The body's quiet. Well, there's still something in the body. But I don't feel, well, I feel a little threatened, but not, well, I don't want to talk.
Okay. We're done.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul.
Sorry if I spoiled the mood of the place.
No, it's beautiful. Wonderful, beautiful.
Not at all, Paul. It was good value.
It makes me realize that if all we did was sit here for an hour in silence, that there would be plenty of value just in that.
Yeah, one of the really good things is that we can have such a variety of perspectives on things that gives us a better opportunity to discover. Yeah, that's good. How are you, Louise?
Hi, good. Yeah, good. I've been I'm not driving today. Yeah, I'm just basking in that quietness. It's just yeah, thank you, Paul. I don't think that kind of inquiry is you can't ever have too much of that. It's just yeah. I have been listening along the last few sessions, and I know you've had a few conversations, I think, with Anne about sensations, and like there just seems to be more noticing of like dropping down from this into the sensations, and it's almost like a little bit of a I want to say a game, but it's like curiosity. Like if I get that tightness in the stomach like this, and it's usually fear there, and just while the interaction was going now, is just literally watching what was happening here, and it's like a whole different world going on. It's like a whole different language being, and it's energy. And I suppose I have a question. Like, I've noticed that a lot of tightness comes here. It's like a bar that comes along the jaw, and that seems to be one place that is the stomach, but also along the jaw. And I'm guessing it's different for different people. And the question is about when you feel the sensation and you relax. It's like I seem to relax into the sensation instead of trying to get away from it or change it. It's like just like I can't describe it. It's just like enfold into it. And I remember you talking about like if thoughts come up, you notice what the thoughts are, but you don't link on to them, and just sometimes there's no thoughts. I don't think there's any thoughts, but it moves around the body. And sometimes I can find myself looking for a reason for the sensation. So I suppose my question is, do you just and just by asking the question, I'm asking for something to do. So I get that it's a very subtle, fine line, but it's that curiosity.
Mm.
And I could spend all day. I could literally spend all day watching it. It's a beautiful thing to watch, and sometimes it's tense and anxious, and then other times it's free flowing and it's expansive. Yeah, so and like you said, it's a skill. It's a skill. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the way I would describe it is that when we first start this inquiry, we can presume that 100% of our thoughts are just rubbish, right? They're all distractions from. But when you get to the stage that you're at with this stuff, if you look to get intimate with those sensations, although stories will float around and you, as you say, you don't engage with them, and you will very likely be presented with thoughts that are, I describe it as a special kind of thought, right? And they're a thought that comes with a question mark usually. They're a softer thought, and they're what they are is an expression of your intuition. And so it's a very subtle kind of thing that you're looking for, and there's nothing definite about it. It's always a suggestion in these kind of thoughts, and they will reveal things to you. And they won't always happen, and they won't happen with every sensation, but by just simply staying with the sensation, you put yourself in the road of that, recognizing what it's about or what's underneath it or what's going on. And it won't always happen, but yeah, as you develop that skill of staying with the sensation, that is so valuable. That is such a big deal. In terms, because we're taught to ignore our body. We're taught to pretend it doesn't exist. Yeah.
50 odd years, I've only just realized that this is a whole new language to learn. And sometimes those thoughts are so, I think I know what you're describing. They're so, I wouldn't say soft, but they're so subtle. And it's like, it's almost like you just, well, no, just dismiss, you kind of dismiss it because it's so quiet. Yeah.
And so, and you don't ever take any of them as a definite anything, you know, there's suggestions, right? But they come with a feeling of right, or they'll come with a feeling of, oh, no, that's not it, kind of thing. So it's soft. I like that word soft. You said no, but you know, that softness comes with a suggestion that if there's a feeling of rightness about it, it's something that you just take a little bit more notice of. Still don't get engaged with them. Don't get run off into a thought stories about them as such, but go back to the sensation, and that will have changed. That sensation will constantly morph into something else, and you just follow it where it wants to take you, and it reveals.
And the movement, that's part of it. It can be here, then it can be here.
Absolutely, yes.
It could be my toe. Yeah.
Well, there's a bit of an irony in that it's impossible to stay in the one place and not shift and not change. It will always change in intensity. It'll change in shape. It'll change in position. It'll change in always constantly moving. You know, it's a crazy idea that it's going to be fixed. It can't possibly be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's lovely.
Good to be here.
So, Paul, I'm really interested why you would apologise and say that, you know, you're sorry for disturbing the mood. I mean, that's like that was a bit unexpected coming from you. You're muted, so I can only see your smile.
Maybe it was because I was an attorney for so long. I have been characterized as being overly aggressive sometimes, and it tends to bring out fear in people and innocent bystanders as well.
No, I didn't see that as overly aggressive at all. It was appropriate aggression, I thought. Yeah, but that was
Well,
just my thoughts about it. Yeah,
yeah.
and I
Well,
think
this stuff, when you start messing with personal beliefs, people get fearsome and angry, you know. So I have to try to
yeah,
keep it light. That's why I said I'm being nice, because that's what I say. I tend to be overly aggressive when I just
yeah,
let it
yeah.
all out. So
When the lawyer comes to the front.
yeah, it's kind of a habit.
Mm.
They call it the last blood sport in America. Across trial lawyers, that's the big joke. So it can be a good habit in trial, but not necessarily in social interactions. So anyway, that's it. Nothing big.
Did you feel he was being overly aggressive, Andre?
I had an idea when he asked the question. I had an idea that he uh he wanted to go with a much harsher kind of statement. But I then not dismissed it, but I thought it could be just my own sort of story on top of that, overlaying that, and my way to interpret him. And I just even though like I wanted to flee, I just wanted to run away from him. I also wanted to, and I told you I had this kind of metaphor that I was in front of a judge at some point. But it wasn't like the judges trying to destroy me. It was more like judges just asking questions and you don't like that. Well, the person being asked doesn't feel that the judge is compassionate. But that was also like I kind of kept that idea there that okay, maybe well let's see what happens next. So if people don't run away and they stay, I guess they get a lot of benefit from Paul. But if they run away, then they don't know what they're missing, or I don't know. It's just it's kind of hard. It's hard to withstand the. It is very hard to withstand. It was hard for me to withstand it, but I'm kind of grateful to me and to Paul for this. Not kind of. I'm grateful. Yeah. Well, I didn't go to jail, which is good, right?
Mm.
And I also appreciate the truth over sweetness. I think I had this metaphor when I was listening to you and Alan for the first time, and I think I called you like cold-blooded surgeons, and those are people they cut you up because they want to, well, to make you feel better, right? To fix you or something. And for someone who's being cut, it doesn't seem very compassionate act. It seems, oh, what the fuck? Were you destroying my body? You're cutting me up, or and that's how I probably felt with Paul. Like Paul, can I have more love? Can I have more compassion? But then maybe if you try and get it out of a surgeon, then the surgeon will not be able to keep cold, sort of rational, stick to whatever the surgeon is doing, or stick to whatever the judge is doing. So stay in that sort of impartial. It's not cold-blooded. It's just it's a different level. It's just question after question after question, but with the feelings and emotions set aside a little bit, like not focusing on, not paying attention to them in the moment. And I think I'm not used to that as a human, as Andre. That's why I'm seeing it as, it's hard for me to see love in that. So I might look at it as cruel, prima facie sort of, but and maybe it's just a story there, another story that anyway. Yeah.
It's precision to cut. It's precision to cut. Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
I'm scared of the injections, but so what? I was scared of Paul, so what? You know.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question.
Have you been, Kathleen?
I'm good. I really enjoyed that interaction with Paul and Andre. Yeah, you know, my comment, and I don't know what I am, but anyway, I just feel like Andre's like all in his head. You know, it's like the mind trying to find the solution to the mind, and it's all crap. You know, it you can't find the answer in the head. You know, and I kind of like wanted to jump through the camera and say, "Get out of your head," you know. But you know, that wouldn't have been kind, and that would have been a little aggressive. So I kept my mouth shut. So I think Paul handled it much better. I think we're so stuck with trying to solve the problems. And in order to solve the problems, we give the brain or the ego or the mind, I don't even know the words anymore, you know, we give them something to chew on, you know, and and we lose the whole point because the mind's like, oh, good, I got something to chew on now, you know, and I think it's all bullshit. So anyway, that's where I am right now. And I don't mean to sound ugly or mean or whatever, but that's what I'm thinking. But personally, how am I? I'm in a good spot. So
Excellent.
Hallelujah. I'm trying to keep my mind out of this, you know.
Good stuff. Yeah. Okay, well, my laptops are going to run out of battery in a minute. Does anybody else want to say something? Or I can go and get my power supply. If not, we'll end up.
Well, thanks a million, everybody. This is like, this is so important to me this Sunday afternoon. It's afternoon for me. And the Saints won. Yay, if anybody cares. And thank you so much, Vince. This is absolutely, it's a benefit I know for me. So thank you.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
And thank you, everybody.